I wished I knew this when I first started my lawn care business. G'day YouTubers, Jeff McPhee's Gardening, Melbourne, Australia. How many times have you heard that? When I first started, I wished I knew what I knew now. It's so easy. I've had a lot of emails over the last couple of weeks about, Jeff, what would you do if you first started your business again? Well, in this video, I'm going to give 5 tips, 5 valuable tips that I believe will help you if you are planning to start a lawn care business, or even if you are into your lawn care business journey as it is. So let's dive in and we'll discuss each item. And we're going to look at 5 items. The first one is research. How many times when you start a business, when you first started, you're probably fairly clueless, and what tends to happen, you just go into blind. You're not really sure, you haven't got a plan, and you just go along because everybody else is doing it. You just look around and you go, oh, he's mowing lawns, let's go and mow lawns and make some money. And of course, there's a lot of things that happen if you don't do your research. There's some critical areas here. First thing is pricing. You don't get your pricing right, your business is going to fail, and it will fail. The important thing with pricing is to research the particular area that you propose to work in. Now, it's so easy to work in your own neighbourhood because, let's face it, you don't want to travel too far. So if you can get customers near your doorstep, you think that's great. I did that. I had streets of houses all around me. But the biggest mistake I made is that I discounted. There was guys, this is 40 years ago, were charging $15 a lawn. And I thought, well, I'm going to charge 12. So I'm going to come in a little bit cheaper. And I soon realised what I was doing. I was getting on the cheap customers. Because what happens with people that ask for a discount, they are the same customer that's going to fire you first because they're going to find someone else cheaper again. And in my case, I was offering $12 and then someone offer $8 and I'd get fired. And of course, the other thing is because I was cheap, I was getting so many customers quickly, my books were filled. And I'm thinking, I've got so much work. But at the end of the day, because I didn't know my numbers, I was losing. I was losing money. I wasn't making a profit. And the business was failing. And I was working harder and harder because I believed back then, the harder you work, the more lawns you did, the more money you make. Sometimes that's not exactly true. Research is so important also about your competitors. What are people doing in your area? What services are they offering? These are the things that you need to understand. You need to understand your competitors, and we'll talk later on about how to work with your competitors. But it's important to understand what you're trying to achieve. Set yourself a plan. What sort of work do you want to do? You're obviously not going to go into an area where there's high-end gardens and cylinder mowing and beautiful maintained manners. If you're inexperienced, you're probably not going to take that type of work on yet. You will later when you get more experience. So you're going to take on something that's going to be within your own capabilities, and that's the most important thing. Target areas that will pay well, but target areas that you can competently carry out the work. And again, it might not be in your neighbourhood. Don't let that worry you. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't happen. It's fantastic if it does because you don't have to travel, and that is a big plus to keep the travel time down. But at the end of the day, it's the quality, it's the type of work, it's the type of customer, and it's the type of price is what you're aiming to do. And you need a clear plan to map that out. It doesn't have to be an exotic business plan, just something to have a little roadmap for you to follow at the start. The second tip is invest in quality equipment. I see a lot of newbies that start, and they start with the Bunnings or the hardware store cheap mower and the bent shaft whippersnipper and a broom or maybe a cheap blower. And it's fine, it works well. But what happens as they become busier, as they're becoming more lawns and they're mowing a lot more lawns, what happens is the machinery break down. When machineries break down, no backups, you're going to find you're becoming unreliable. And that's not something that we want to prove to the customer. So invest in quality equipment. Now, you don't have to buy, because other people are buying exotic standers and ride-ons and all those aspects, you don't need to do that when you first start out. You just need the basic equipment. The video I did not long ago about you can start a business reasonably cheaply on a shoestring budget. but at the same time, make sure it's quality equipment that you do buy. I did make a small error when I first started. The area that I was working in had a lot of commercial properties that were there to be taken. And because I didn't have a ride-on mower, I really wasn't sure whether I should chase the commercials and get the ride on, or get the ride on then chase the commercials. I've learnt, and what's worked for me, is if I did it over again, I would buy the ride-on mower. I wouldn't buy a huge, big ride-on mower, but I wouldn't buy a small, cheap one either. I'd buy a good, sound commercial ride-on mower. Then I would chase the work that is suited to. Because once you have it, it's surprising how the work builds. The first one you do, it'll just roll on from there. So a bit of food for thought about the quality of the equipment that you should have and how much and what sizes. Don't get sucked into what everybody else is doing. Make sure you look at your plan, you look at what you're targeting to do, you look at the area that you're concentrating on, and stick to your plan and buy the equipment suitable for what you want to do. As you grow, the amount of equipment you get, well, obviously you're going to grow that as well. The third thing is to build a strong brand for your business. Have a good business name. Think about your business name. Your business name, you need to be careful if you just want to do lawn mowing, lawn care, well, that's the main aspect of your business name. You know, Jeff's Lawn Mowing or Jim's Mowing, for example, very popular franchise in Australia. But think about the type and the name that you want to be. There is a lot of silly names too, catchy names. Keep it basic, keep it simple, and someone that looks up the internet or social media, they want a particular something done in their garden, they'll look something, oh, there's McPhee's Gardening. He does gardening, we'll ring Jeff. So think about those. Have a strong brand, consistent, you know, label your uniforms, McPhee's Gardening Services. Online presence, you know, the Google business ads. Consistently have your logo, your web pages, right across the board. If you're consistent and showing your brand, makes a big difference. You're trying to set yourself apart from your competitors by being professional, and having a strong brand is a good way to start out your new venture. Now, we talked about competitors when we first started out. When we're researching, we see the competitors and we think, oh, how are we going to beat the competitors? How are we going to get more work, you know, over them? How are we going to win the quote? Very important to establish a communication link with your competitors. Networking with your competitors is so important. What it does is, when you're first starting out, is that they will be a godsend to you. They'll be very busy. They won't be able to take on the extra work, and they'll hand pass that work over to you. If you establish a good reputation with them, you'll get lots of work, free advertising. Maybe a slab of beer from time to time will keep them happy. I often refer a lot of work to a lot of new guys starting out. If they do the right thing, if they prompt, reliable and professional and don't let me down, I'll give them heaps of work. But as soon as I hear that they didn't turn up for the quote, or they let me down or let the customer down, I won't refer them again. So it's important that when you do network, that you establish a strong relationship with those competitors, and it really makes a big difference to your business. It's probably one of the most important marketing tools that you can have, over and above all the social media stuff that you put out there. And at the end of the day, it's free. Maybe the slab of beer, but it's free. And the fact is, when you establish that relationship, you can actually help your competitors in major jobs. You can learn so much more from them. So instead of treating them as the, you know, bad devil that you're fighting against, you're actually working with them. You remember the old story, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. But seriously, it's a marketing tool that you should never dispose of. It's really, really handy to have. And finally, customer service matters. I think it's the most number one rule in your running of the business, the customer. Prompt, reliable, professional. Meet the customer's requirements. over and above. Give that customer the feeling that you care about their property, that you care about them. I hear so many stories, I see them on forums about the customer. It's like that they're the enemy. Oh, the way he treated me, I'm not going back there. Yes, there will be the bad customer. You will learn how to filter the bad customers. But at the end of the day, you're targeting the right area, targeting the type of work that's going to suit you. You're going to end up getting the customer, the right customer, most of the time. And when you do get them, you hang on to them because you're going to provide that service. Service does matter. All right, so over all these years, those 5 points I think are so important to when you're setting up your business or even running your lawn care business or gardening business. And you need to go in with a little plan. It doesn't have to be a great big plan, but you need to have a method, a method of working your way through it. Because if you've got that, you can always refer back to it and you're sticking to a plan. And I think that helps. You don't build a house without a plan, or build a road without a plans. You need a plan. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear your comments. Some of the things that you wished you could have done when you first started. What would you have done differently? Some people say, do it all again, do it all the same. Maybe you would, maybe you won't. I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.